It's a moment of sheer panic. 1 second, you're parking. The next, the car is lurching forward, totally unstoppable. It's a tragedy that unfolds in quiet streets and parking lots all across the country. Tonight, on a Human Error News Network special report, we are investigating the simple mistake that can have absolutely fatal consequences as we begin the drive for safety.
It really is the unthinkable error, isn't it? A lifetime of driving experience, a simple everyday maneuver, and then the foot hits the accelerator instead of the brake. How does a mistake this fundamental even happen?
You might think it's just a freak accident, a one in a million kind of thing. But what if it isn't? Our team has dug into the data, and what we've found is a consistent, frankly, alarming pattern behind these incidents. You're going to want to stick with us for this. Now, let's make this personal. If you've ever felt that knot in your stomach while riding with an older loved one, that quick intake of breath when a stop sign just seems to appear out of nowhere, you know this isn't just some news story. It's a deeply personal fear. And this brings us to our breaking report. See, this isn't about blaming a single driver. We're looking at a much wider issue of human factors, one that researchers actually have a specific name for. Let's get right into the analysis.
The official term is pedal misapplication. And it's exactly what it sounds like, hitting the gas instead of the brake, or your foot just slipping from one to the other. According to the Transport Research Laboratory, it's a critical moment of human error that can have just catastrophic results.
And if you are worried about this, let me be perfectly clear, you are not alone. In fact, just figuring out how to talk about driving safety with an aging parent or partner, well, it's one of the most difficult and emotionally charged conversations any family can possibly face. We are all in this together.
So, we moved from the personal feelings to the hard data. Our investigative team analyzed the research to understand exactly what is happening here. Here are the facts. Our investigation uncovered this stunning number. A landmark study found that in two-thirds of all pedal error incidents, the driver doesn't just fail to brake, they accelerate. Now, this isn't some minor detail. It is the absolute core of the problem. And this chart illustrates exactly where the danger lies. You'd think these mistakes happen at high speeds on the freeway, right? Wrong. Over half, 52%, occur during low-speed cornering and maneuvering. Another 23% happen while parking or just starting to move. We're talking about everyday situations in seemingly safe places like grocery store parking lots. Understanding the risk factors is absolutely crucial for prevention. Our investigation found consistent patterns pointing to these key elements: older age, driving at automatic, some cognitive changes, even just a temporary distraction or illness, and something as simple as incorrect foot positioning. Every single one is a potential warning sign.
Okay, so knowing the problem is step one, but solving it is the next. And the good news here is that there's a clear, expert-backed framework for families to create what we're calling a family safety plan.
And you do not have to invent this from scratch. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, has already created a playbook for this. It's called the Plan for Older Drivers Safety, or PODS for short. This is our roadmap. So where do we start? We start with observation. The NHTSA guide gives us a kind of field guide of warning signs. Are they getting lost on routes they've driven for years? Do you notice them mixing up the pedals? Are other drivers honking at them a lot more frequently? These aren't just quirks, they are critical data points you need to be aware of.
Spotting the signs. Well, that leads to the most difficult step of all, starting the conversation. But how you begin this talk can make all the difference between a productive plan and a really painful argument.
Here is one of the most powerful tools from the official guide. Avoid using you messages, which always feel like an attack. Instead, use I messages. Saying, I am concerned about your safety is a clear expression of love and care, but saying you're no longer safe is an accusation that will immediately put them on the defensive. The process itself can be broken down into steps. First, pick the right messenger. Maybe it's a trusted child, a close friend, or their doctor. Frame it with your feelings. Normalize it. Explain that thousands of people adopt their driving as they get older. And crucially, focus the entire conversation on the shared goal, keeping them independent and connected to the people and places they love. Let's try a really powerful reframe here. Instead of talking about losing the keys or giving up driving, what if we talked about it like any other big life transition? Try using a phrase like, it's time to retire from driving. This frames it as a planned, respectable change, not a failure.
because the end of driving is not the end of living. In fact, with a good plan, it can be the beginning of a new and much safer chapter of mobility and freedom.
A mobility plan is the answer. It starts by just mapping out who can help: family, friends, neighbors. Then you explore what services already exist, from ride-sharing to senior shuttles. You proactively plan for social outings. And a key resource is your local area agency on aging. Believe me, they are the experts in these exact transitions.
And always remember the dual purpose here. The goal is to empower the older adult, to actually enhance their independence with new tools. And at the exact same time, it's about ensuring the safety of everyone else on the road. So in the end, perhaps we've been looking at the wrong error all along. A foot slipping from a pedal, that's a tragic mechanical mistake. But the real human error, the one that we can actually prevent, it might just be a family that sees the warning signs but fails to have the conversation that matters most. That concludes our special report, but the conversation shouldn't end here. This has been a Human Error News Network special.